fisherman in Newfoundland has hauled in a tale to tell.
Whoa, this is so weird.
Look
Oh
at
my
that.
God. They're so strange. Such a strange animal.
Gold Coast fisherman has attracted a catch far larger than he bargained for.
Amidst the routine of their daily catch, these seasoned seafarers were suddenly face to face with a truly terrifying discovery. From the ocean, suddenly turning to dry land, to spotting mermaid-like beings, these people found themselves confronting a scene that defied explanation. What is happening in the ocean that we don't know about? Could there be whole other worlds hidden beneath the waves? Join us on this breathtaking voyage as we reveal the latest and the most fascinating discoveries the crew made in the ocean. Island forms overnight. During a survey of water bodies by seismologists, they stumbled on something that had only happened once in 1,000 years. Right before their eyes, they noticed a rock emerge from the sea, forming a new island. As they instigated further, they found out that a mountain had actually formed below the water surface. Intriguing, right? Well, it seems like nature always has a way of showing how wonderful and highly unpredictable it can be. But sometimes, these wonders can lead to ugly incidents. The modern-day Titanic.
It's Titanic!
With this passenger screaming Titanic, one might wonder what she was referring to. It turns out that a cruise boat filled with passengers almost collided with a massive iceberg, and this caused passengers to panic as some filmed what would have possibly been their last moments. This incident takes us back in time to April 15, 1912, when the great Titanic ship that was thought to be unsinkable was submerged after colliding with an iceberg. It clearly looked like history was about to just repeat itself. What if the boat had hit the iceberg? Thankfully, it didn't, but it was really close. Although scary, imagine being out on the ocean, surrounded by the soothing sounds of waves, only to come across a scene that looks like creatures having a party. Rare sight of sea lions. Sometimes, sea creatures like to put on a big show that makes everyone startled. Like back in 2018, some folks were out on the ocean, enjoying the fresh air and the sound of the waves. Suddenly, they found themselves surrounded by a bunch of sea lions in a scenario that seemed like they were having a party. But that's not all. There were also big humpback whales joining the sea lions. Dozens of whales and groups of sea lions teamed up. The tour guide said this kind of thing doesn't happen often, so it was super exciting to see. It was like a real-life adventure for the tourists and for all of us who heard about it. Another wonderful adventure could be watching a huge animal give birth, welcoming a baby whale. A bunch of fishermen were out in Cape Town minding their own business and hoping for a good catch. Suddenly, something incredible happened. They saw hundreds of dolphins swimming around in the water, creating a big swirl of excitement. At first, they were puzzled, wondering what all the fuss was about. Then they realized what was happening. Right there, in front of their eyes, a whale was giving birth. The dolphins weren't just hanging around for fun. They were circling around the whale, making sure no predators bothered them. It was like they were the whale's bodyguards. The spreading of some of these news stories seems to happen really fast due to the weight of the matter. This particular case seems to catch the attention of so many people more. The discovery that suddenly sparked fear. The sailor would have argued that he was not hearing right at this point because he was about to close up work for the day before he paid attention to the sound he was hearing. It was as if he were hearing the clarion call of mermaids, which was shocking. It was like an echo that was coming from the depths of the sea, but it was so loud that anyone around would have heard it as well. A while back, there was this crazy video that spread like wildfire about 10 years ago. It got people talking because it seemed like it could solve the controversy of mermaids. A sailor was taking a nap in his cabin when he heard a commotion outside. His friends were making a racket, so he grabbed his camera and rushed out to see what was up. It turns out they had caught something in their net, but before they could get a good look, the net broke, and whatever the creature was, it slipped back into the sea. All they managed to capture on camera was a quick peek at a claw. Some people said it was likely a trick, but others were convinced it was evidence that mermaids might just be real after all, but not as real as seeing a mummified body that has been strangely preserved. Sailor's corpse found at sea. Some sailors were out at sea when they came across something that made their blood run cold. There, floating aimlessly on the waves, was an abandoned boat in pretty bad shape. Curiosity got the better of them, so they decided to take a closer look. What they found inside was a shocker. They found the mummified body of a sailor, perfectly preserved by the salty sea air. Without wasting a moment, they alerted the authorities, and soon enough, investigations were underway. It turned out that the poor soul was none other than Manfred Bigro, last seen way back in 2009. Some folks speculated that he might have suffered a heart attack, but the exact cause of his demise remains unknown to this day. As far as it deals with the ocean, a lot of unexpected encounters should be anticipated. There's a case of noticing some bubbles on the surface of the sea that are perceived to be coming from underground. What does that imply? Strange bubbles from underwater. The Danish Defense Command released some new video footage showing bubbles rising from the depths of the Baltic Sea, hinting at a possible massive underwater opening. But here's where it gets really interesting. It turned out that these bubbles were actually gas leaking from two Nord Stream pipelines under the Baltic Sea. Both pipelines were used to transport gas between Russia and Europe, and they experienced major leaks almost simultaneously. That felt too suspicious to be a coincidence. Some analysts suspected that the leaks might have been caused intentionally, perhaps as a sneaky act of sabotage. So, who was behind it, and what was their motive? As disturbing as that might sound, it is not as disturbing as hearing a species that went extinct millions of years ago being spotted again. Return of the forgotten legend. A group of friends were out in the Atlantic Ocean on a quiet night, capturing the amazing reflection of the moon on the water. Everything seemed like a wonderful moment until they noticed something unusual. It was a massive whale leisurely swimming through the waves. But then, things took a terrifying turn. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a gigantic creature, the megalodon, twice the size of the whale, emerged from the depths. It grabbed the poor whale and dragged it down into the abyss. The debate over the creature concluded that it was indeed a megalodon, but due to its extinction, some people thought it was edited the same way some people thought the floating house scene was equally edited, floating a boat at sea. On this occasion, a number of sailors were cruising along when they spotted something strange moving on water. As they got closer, they realized it wasn't just any ordinary object. It was a house, just casually floating out in the middle of the ocean. Wondering where the house is coming from, experts tried to trace its location because they thought finding out the location of where the house was would at least give a clue, but all to no avail. People who saw the video of the floating house concluded that maybe it got caught up in strong winds and got swept away like a leaf. At this point, one could admit to having seen it all, but there are more mind-blowing cases that leave everyone in awe. Ever heard of a carpet on the sea made of stones? Floating stone carpet seen. What a wonder. Sailors were sailing through the southwestern Pacific Ocean near Australia when they saw something that seemed so unreal and disturbing. The ocean's surface was covered in rocks, just sitting there like it was no big deal. To make it call for more attention, it wasn't tiny. Rather, it stretched out as far as 200 football fields. This amazing sight was all thanks to some underwater volcanoes near Tonga. Even though it might happen every few years, seeing this phenomenon up close was alarming as seeing a huge aquatic mammal in a vertical position, whales resting in water. This time, a boater was peacefully cruising in a see-through boat when suddenly he spotted a massive whale emerging gracefully from the deep waters. Its majestic tail swayed gently as it moved. Left in awe by this magnificent sight, the boater edged closer for a better look. That's when he noticed a tiny baby whale swimming alongside its enormous parent. Experts stated that the reason for the behavior suggests that this serene moment might be a form of whale meditation. Sperm whales, especially the wise old ones, have a unique sleeping habit called vertical sleeping, where they conserve energy while still breathing. The whale was not the only creature spotted in a relaxing mode. This creature, that looked like something from a fairy tale, was also spotted under the sun's warmth. Back in 2013, a group of tourists were on a boat, crossing over the sea and just cruising, when one of them spotted something strange ashore. Alarmed, a passenger grabbed their camera and started recording immediately. As they zoomed in, they were caught by a sight they never anticipated. A creature seated unbothered on the rocks, looking half human and half fish, basking in the sunlight. It wasn't just any ordinary sighting. It seemed like a bizarre encounter with what could only be described as a mermaid. The internet was busy with comments and theories, but the question is, was that really a mermaid? If there is a mermaid, that means there's a world we are not aware of deep in the seas. And maybe sometimes these creatures try to make us aware by causing strange things to happen on the surface of the water as a sign. Strange waves on the Atlantic Ocean. Without experiencing the beauty of the clear blue seas, it would be difficult to understand when the sea is troubled. In this case, it seems as though the waves and flow of the waters are disturbed. In Santo Domingo, someone captured a beach completely covered in trash. The case deals with not waves of water, but waves of plastic trash crashing against the shore. Plastic waves seem unusual. It was a stark wake-up call for all of us. Our careless actions, tossing away waste without a second thought, are coming back to haunt us. Even the ocean, once so vast and resilient, is showing signs of weariness. In 2015, somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, sailors spotted an eerie phenomenon, waves that looked like a living checkerboard. These waves, known as box waves, are no joke. They're formed when two seas collide at just the right angle or due to some funny weather pattern. It seems harmless, but is considered extremely dangerous. When seas collide perpendicularly, it creates powerful rip currents and waves that'll have you shaking in your boots. So if you ever come across these box waves in the ocean, do yourself a favor and head for shore immediately. It seems like water has its own attitude and tends to cater for itself. That's why it had a plastic wave to push out all the dirt dumped in it onto the land. Does it also have the attribute of saving lives? The lone survivor. A lonely dog found himself stranded on a tiny iceberg in the vast ocean. Luckily, some kind-hearted Russian sailors happened to spot the poor dog and knew they couldn't leave him out there all alone. So they came up with a brilliant plan to rescue him. One brave crew member strapped himself with a rope, took a deep breath, and dived right in, swimming up to that tiny iceberg. He grabbed the dog and brought him back to the safety of the ship. Just like that, the dog was brought to land. Also, a group of sailors were enjoying a beautiful trip on the ocean when they spotted something strange, an empty boat drifting aimlessly in the water. Naturally, they thought someone might need their help, so they approached cautiously. But to their shock, the vessel was completely deserted, no sign of life anywhere, and no dead bodies either. What made it even creepier was the anchor dangling down into the water, reaching a whopping 1,400 feet. They wasted no time alerting the Coast Guard and wondered if the ship had been intentionally abandoned. The dog found would have possibly been from one of the ships, but the story as to who it was with before being found alone in the middle of the sea was not known. The ocean is a place of terror that holds so many secrets, but the most terrifying of all is the deepest ocean, where all strange creatures reside, the dreadful Mariana Trench. The ocean's vastness can be fearsome, especially when considering the Mariana Trench, plunging down a staggering 36,201 feet. To put that in perspective, Mount Everest, our planet's tallest peak, stands at about 29,000 feet. One could submerge the entirety of Mount Everest into the trench, and its summit still wouldn't breach the surface. Sunlight can only penetrate to a depth of around 3,200 feet, beyond which lies the eerie twilight zone, a realm of darkness, scarce food, and crushing pressure. As of 2022, a total of 22 crewed descents and 7 uncrewed descents have been made into the Mariana Trench. The first historic crewed descent occurred in 1960 when the Batiscafe Trieste, a vessel owned by the United States Navy but designed by Swiss and Italian engineers, reached the trench's bottom. Piloted by Don Walsh and Jacques Picard, the Trieste descended to a depth initially recorded as 37,800 feet. However, subsequent analysis revised this depth to 35,814 feet. The vessel utilized iron shot for ballast and gasoline for buoyancy. Following this milestone, uncrewed remotely operated vehicles were sent into the trench. The ROVs Kaiko in 1996 and Nereus in 2009 achieved similar depths to the Trieste's descent, confirming the measurements of around 10,902 to 10,916 meters. In 2012, Canadian filmmaker James Cameron made headlines by piloting the submersible vessel Deep Sea Challenger to the trench's bottom, reaching a depth of 10,908 meters. This marked another significant achievement in exploring the deepest parts of the ocean. In July 2015, a collaborative effort involving the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Oregon State University, and the Coast Guard deployed a hydrophone designed to withstand the immense pressure of 7 miles underwater into the Challenger Deep. Despite facing challenges in retrieving the hydrophone, it successfully captured sounds from the depths over a period of 23 days. The recorded sounds included natural occurrences such as earthquakes and the vocalizations of baleen whales, as well as human-made sounds like boat traffic. This success prompted plans to deploy a second hydrophone for extended monitoring in 2017, aiming to gain further insights into the acoustic environment of the Mariana Trench. Regarding the Mariana Trench, reports of strange occurrences have long circulated among deep-sea fishermen and researchers. Many have been frightened by sightings of mysterious red glows underwater, prompting some to flee the area out of fear. These lights, which intensify as they approach fishing boats before suddenly dimming, remain unexplained by scientists. Some theories suggest the existence of a colossal monster, such as the mythical god Cthulhu, lurking in the depths. Despite advancements in underwater exploration, the mysteries of the Mariana Trench continue to intrigue and perplex scientists and adventurers alike. The mention of the mythical god Cthulhu in the photograph stirred controversy among researchers and the public alike. While some dismissed it as fake, others speculated on the possibility of such a monstrous being truly inhabiting the ocean's depths. The debate was fueled by numerous reports of strange sounds and signals emanating from the ocean, adding to the mystique surrounding the existence of undiscovered creatures lurking in the deep. The 1960 expedition to the Mariana Trench reported surprising discoveries, including sightings of large creatures like flatfish and shrimp, despite the extreme pressure. However, skepticism now surrounds the flatfish sighting, with some suggesting it may have been a sea cucumber. During a later expedition, the uncrewed vehicle Kaiko collected mud samples, revealing tiny organisms living in the seabed. In 2011, drop cams equipped with cameras and lights were deployed, revealing gigantic single-celled foraminiferans, some exceeding 10 centimeters in size. These organisms, belonging to the Monothelemmia class, play a vital role as hosts for various other species. A groundbreaking discovery was made in 2014 when a new species of snailfish was found at a depth of 8,145 meters, setting a record as the deepest living fish captured on video at that time. The same expedition filmed several new species, including supergiant amphipods, showcasing the phenomenon of deep-sea gigantism. In May 2017, another unidentified species of snailfish was recorded at a depth of 8,178 meters, further adding to the diversity of life in the Mariana Trench. In the deep sea, scary creatures like the predatory tunicate hide. They're like underwater Venus flytraps, catching tiny animals. Even though they're small, watching them eat is fascinating and creepy. They're also hermaphrodites, meaning they can reproduce even in the ocean's loneliest spots. There was an encounter with the headless chicken monster, a peculiar species of sea cucumber. With its bizarre appearance, resembling a headless chicken, this creature stands out even among its fellow echinoderms. Despite its unassuming nature, the headless chicken monster is a testament to the strange wonders that inhabit the ocean's depths. These creatures are known for their special features. With their flowing appendages, they're called the Spanish dancer, moving gracefully in the water. They eat tiny things like algae and small animals, and their strange looks surprise people. Unlike sea cucumbers, they can't swim up. They drift with ocean currents. Even though they've been seen a few times worldwide, they're still mysterious, and there's a lot we don't know about them. There's the sea lamprey, also known as the vampire fish. Its skeleton is made of cartilage, not bone like other fish. But it's the mouth that's truly terrifying. Like a suction cup nightmare, sea lampreys hunt in a gruesome way. They latch onto their prey with their mouth, then drill into the flesh with their teeth. They prevent blood from clotting, so they can suck their victim's blood like a leech. They're not just in the deep sea. They also swim to freshwater rivers to breed. Sadly, they're harmful invaders, especially in places like the Great Lakes, where they eat up to 40 pounds of fish each year. This makes them a big problem for fishermen and the environment. Also, the telescope octopus is a strange ocean dweller, living between 500 and 6,500 feet deep. They're rare and mostly found in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. These creatures are hard to see because their bodies are see-through, making them almost invisible. especially when light passes through them. Despite being small, only about 8 inches long, they have unique eyes that look like telescopes sticking out of their heads. These eyes give them a wide field of view, helping them spot prey and predators. Because of their size and where they live, we still have a lot to learn about them. Looking into the vampire squid, though not big, only about a foot long, its looks are quite remarkable. It's often confused for an octopus because of its arm-like parts and lack of tentacles. The vampire squid has huge eyes compared to its body, making it stand out. Hidden beneath its skin are sharp spikes, giving it a bit of a scary vibe, which is why some call it the squid of hell. Despite its spooky name, it doesn't actually drink blood. Instead, it's a relic from a really old family of octopuses that goes back millions of years. Be careful to look out for the anglerfish, known for its scary appearance and unique way of reproducing. If you ever come across one washed up on a beach, it's sure to give you the creeps with its dark beady eyes and sharp teeth straight out of a nightmare. But what's even more unsettling is how they hunt and mate. Anglerfish use glowing lures on their heads to attract prey in the deep sea, then gulp down their meals whole with their expandable mouths. Females are the big ones, capable of catching large prey, while males are much smaller and attach themselves to females like parasites. This weird mating ritual helps them survive in the deep ocean. Once a male finds a mate, they fuse together, leaving only the male's reproductive organs behind. Surprisingly, a female anglerfish can carry up to 6 males on or inside her body. One might wonder what creatures the deep oceans house, like the bobbit worm, a stealthy predator lurking in the deep sea. Despite its innocent look, this creature is an ambush expert. It hides on the ocean floor, leaving only a bit of its body exposed. With 5 antennae, it waits for prey to pass by before swiftly grabbing it with its strong jaws. Once caught, the prey is dragged into the worm's burrow for a grim end. Another strange creature is the frilled shark, often referred to as a living fossil due to its ancient lineage, dating back some 80 million years. Named for the row of red-lined gills resembling frills on its side, this creature is a relic from the time of the dinosaurs. While less intimidating than great white sharks, the frilled shark's terrifying set of teeth can still induce nightmares, particularly when its mouth opens wide to reveal its 300 teeth. Typically residing more than 2,000 feet below the surface, sightings of these creatures are rare. Discovered in the 19th century, our knowledge of frilled sharks remains limited, adding to the mystery of these deep-sea denizens. Moving on to the giant squid, these enigmatic creatures add credence to the belief in sea monsters. Sporting eyes the size of basketballs and bodies reaching lengths of up to an astonishing 46 feet, they command awe and fear alike. Despite their imposing size, they are notoriously elusive, often evading capture by underwater vehicles attempting to document their existence. Some scientists even speculate on the existence of larger squid, possibly towering as tall as 4-story buildings. The mystery surrounding these elusive giants only deepens, raising questions about their role in maritime legends like the Kraken. The fascinating world of bone-eating worms is vital to the deep-sea ecosystem. When massive sea creatures like whales perish, their carcasses sink to the ocean floor, becoming a rich source of sustenance for a myriad of deep-sea organisms. Among these scavengers are bone-devouring worms, aptly named zombie worms, which feast on the skeletal remains of these marine behemoths. These eerie creatures, resembling underwater plants, congregate in large numbers to devour the decaying bones, creating a haunting spectacle in the abyssal darkness. To study these remarkable organisms, researchers employ bait in the form of animal bones, allowing them to observe and understand the intricacies of this unique ecological niche. Waiting for several months allows researchers to observe the gradual disappearance of bones, thanks to a multitude of tiny creatures known as Octodaxi. While these bone-eating worms may not seem menacing at first glance, their diet consists of decaying matter, making them crucial to the deep-sea ecosystem. Interestingly, divers may encounter these creatures in relatively shallow waters, starting at depths of just 30 feet, adding to the intrigue of underwater exploration. A truly terrifying denizen of the ocean depths, the pelican eel, is a peculiar mix of features resembling a plant, a serpent, and a bird. These creatures possess disproportionately large heads and mouths compared to their slender bodies, giving them a monstrous appearance. Their most striking feature is their massive pouch-like lower jaw, reminiscent of a pelican's beak. With a voracious appetite, pelican eels use bioluminescence to lure prey close to their gigantic mouths, allowing them to consume small to medium-sized sea creatures. Living at depths between 500 and 6,000 feet, encounters with these creatures are rare for swimmers, providing some relief from their chilling presence. While these creatures may seem terrifying, the vast depths of the ocean leave room for the possibility of even stranger and more formidable creatures awaiting discovery. Who knows what mysteries lie hidden beneath the waves, from creatures resembling the ancient megalodon to colossal squids. It's a reminder of the boundless wonders and mysteries that await exploration in the depths of our oceans. Thank you for watching. Comment to share what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos.